Alrighty. Hello, everyone. My name is Hopkins, and welcome back to Perspective Points, an outlet for both me and you to share experiences and have positive and productive conversations about incorporating mindfulness into one's life. I'm super stoked for today's episode as we are in a very different setting. And I have with me today Tyler Twist. Tyler, how are you doing, my man?
What up?
Tyler and I today are going to be talking about what it means to pivot in life and many transitions that come with growing up through, adolescence into adulthood, into college. Kind of reverse ordered that one, but it's all good. And just the mindset in regards to pivoting and in regards to one's character. I said in regards a lot, but that's the beauty of it.
There you go.
The quote of the day that we're rocking with, Tyler's going to elaborate a little bit more on it, but we got one from Matthew McConaughey, and it is, "The person I want to be and the person I am sleep in the same bed at night."
That's what's up.
Do you want to read?
Yeah, dude, this is super long. And before we start, Luke, I just want to say, I thought I worked hard, and then I met you, and I don't work hard at all compared to you, which is fucking insane to say. So, dude, I just want to...
I should, before you even give us a call, I should preface a little bit more. Tyler is full in ROTC. He's up at 5 a.m. every single day, absolutely grinding, as well as inspiring other people as a leader in his group. Work ethic cannot be defined better than Tyler Twist, and I sincerely mean that. So, it's likewise, my man.
I really appreciate that.
Of course.
So, the quote, it's pretty long, but here we go. So, both are true. I'm an optimist by nature. My eye is high. I have hope. And the man I want to be sleeps in the same bed with the man I am. In head, heart, spirit, and body. I don't always enjoy my company because of that son of a bitch, Jimmy Cricket. But I'm rarely able to knock him off my shoulder either. And for good reason. Even when I'm out of tune, off frequency, having trouble, feeling any transaction or viscosity between my being and my actions. Or alternatively, when I'm so lost in music that I'm unaware, my best self is always there. And he will start the Socratic dialogue sooner than I choose to hear him, and long after I want to, because he's insatiable. I, of course, eventually do hear him. Then the challenge becomes to listen. Once I do this and stop pitting fate against responsibility, truth against fiction, sins against who I wish I was, selflessness against selflessness, mortality against eternity, I learn and then begin just being who I am and doing what I do. For me, not for anyone else, and for everyone else at the same time. For me and God together. Then I realize I'm responsible for fate. Fiction is truthful. A sinner and saint I am. An egotistical utilitarian as well. I'll be mortal forever. Now, each step at a time has the big picture in mind, and I'm the man I want to be.
So good.
So cool, right?
There's so many little things within that quote itself that just truly resonate with me. I mean, the first one said a little bit more early on. We talked about being his own biggest critic. And I feel like everyone really relates to that. But I feel like, especially with people that truly put themselves out there and work hard and look to kind of break that loop of, stepping out of normalcy and really, for example, making a podcast in college, it's not something that a lot of people are comfortable with, but those who try to work harder, those who try to do more, I feel like are often more critical of themselves than those who may, stay with what's comfortable. Because when you're trying to inspire change in other individuals, when you're trying to, do something different, you really have to put in a lot of work, and you're analyzing the nitty gritty of it all. You're getting down to the finest detail because you want it to be perfect. You want to put out a product that other people look at and you're not only are you proud of, but other people can get behind. So in regards to being my own self-critic, I resonate a lot with that one.
For example, you've deadlifted 495 times 8. What was the number?
It was 505 for 6.
For 6, and you're like, damn it, I want an 8. I'm like, brother, 99% of the population can't even pick up that much weight to begin with. And you're mad about your reps. So, that's just your mindset with being your own self-critic, and channeling your ambitions is, I don't know. We talked to this billionaire in one of our classes, and he's done so much for the world, and he's changed so much and inspired so many people. But he doesn't sleep well. He still is I don't know. He's in his head way too often about not doing enough, even though he's done so much more than everyone else. And it's just, I don't know, having that's another quote I have is, a roof is a man-made thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Setting limits is just not in my vocabulary. I don't think it's in yours either.
Nah, definitely not. I think though, in regards to like the idea of accomplishing a lot and still like wanting to accomplish a lot, it's the idea of like content but not complacent. So like you can look at something and be proud of it. You can be like, oh, this is a product that like I put a lot of effort into. How do I then go forward and like do something better? You know, what can I, you know, like you never want to look at something and be like, I hate this. Like, you know, you never want to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm not proud of who I am. Like you want to be the person that you want your son to be, your children to be, everyone that you want to inspire to be every single day. So like self-deprecation, in my opinion, is not like healthy in any way. You never want to look at yourself and be like, you're not doing anything right. Always be proud of yourself, but always look to like be able to be 1% better the next day.
Yeah. I like this book a lot called Chop Wood, Carry Water, and it references this idea that nothing is a test in life. So when you fail, you aren't actually failing, you're just learning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a growth mindset, but it's just, I mean, we're so critical about everything we do. Like naturally, people are just like, oh, I failed at this. I failed this test in school, or I didn't get the weight I want in the gym, or whatever it is you aren't succeeding at. It's not really failure if you don't look at it that way.
I say it all the time. It's not succeed or failure. It's succeed or learn. And like if you take that growth mindset with everything you do, it's just like you said, you don't hit a weight in the gym. And you're like, all right, I learned that like this weight's not necessarily comfortable at this point in time for my body. Let me take a step backwards. Let me backwards plan. This is the end goal.
Yeah.
So what I have to do to get here, you know, don't do well on a test. You backwards plan. You're like, all right, you know, this was my study tactics. Right. Let's break them down. Let's work it.
You're learning. That brings me back to a lot of the times where I felt lowest is where I don't have that mindset. So I told you like my start in high school was
explain a little bit.
Yeah, why not? So I mean I was born in Germany. My dad traveled around the country doing army stuff. So I lived in Korea, California, Texas, Kansas, Tennessee, and then ultimately Michigan. He retired. So I've kind of been everywhere, but in terms of this growth mindset idea, when I was applying to colleges, I knew I wanted to go out of state. So a lot of the schools I was looking at were like West Point, UCLA, USC, Stanford. And I got into UCLA, UM, and like Michigan State. I didn't get into USC at first. And it's funny, you played rugby, I played rugby as well. And I remember driving home from a rugby game one day and I got an email saying I got to USC, which was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I wrote an appeal. I was in the Dominican Republic during spring break. And I wrote an appeal letter. And I was like, I totally forgot about it. Like, I was fully ready to go to UCLA. Yeah. And coming back from a rugby game after we won this game, I just got an email, all-time high. Yeah. But then all-time low is I also really want to go to West Point. Like, my dad was in the Army. He was like so hooked on this idea that I was going to go be an infantry officer and like follow in his footsteps. He was pretty high up in the military. Yeah. He was a colonel. And I'm just going to follow in his footsteps and go the West Point route. Now that I was going to play football there. Like I played football my whole life too. So I remember being in the shower and I didn't even check my email. My dad got this letter first or something. And he called me and told me I didn't get in. And I was at my friend's house, like just showering. Yeah. And I remember just bawling. Like that broke down in the shower at my friend's house. And I came out of the shower with just a towel on, sobbing. And my friend's dad was like an ex-Marine. And I remember just like him hugging me, giving me a huge bear hug when I was like butt naked. I'm like soaking wet, have a towel on. I'm like an 18-year-old kid, doesn't know how to handle failure in any circumstance. And I just failed at like one of the biggest things I've ever failed at was not getting into this school where my dad really wanted me to go. So I don't know, dude. I was depressed for like a week or two. Yeah. And then I started focusing on like, well, shit, I got in UCLA. I'll be okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? I
think that's like the big thing is that like you said, like as an 18-year-old kid, like oftentimes college rejection is like the biggest failure that we experience. Yeah. But in reality, it's just like in that moment, it's just we haven't been adjusted. At least most people, like I feel like, haven't been fully acquainted to what it means to be rejected. Right. Because when maybe you're not like applying to necessarily like a prestigious high school and it's just like most people go to public school, or you apply to a high school and you get in and it's just like, okay. And then you go out throughout school and then you're so used to just like being able to pick where you go to school. Yeah. That like that first transition of, all right, the school's deciding which one we accept to. Yeah. You know, it's gotta be like a mutual agreement. So it's like when you put yourself out there, when you put all your dreams into, hey, I'm going to go to West Point. Hey, I'm going to be an infantry officer. Hey, I'm going to play football there. And they don't come back. Yeah. It feels personal. Yeah, truly.
And when you take it personally, that's when a lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's something you learn along the road too. I've read this book called The Four Agreements.
I love the 4 Agreements.
And one of the agreements is don't take anything personally, good or bad.
Yeah.
Because nothing anyone tells you is exactly true. Someone could say you suck at something. It's not true. Someone could say you're amazing at something. It's also not true. It's what you believe and internalize and how you view it and like the reality you create. So I don't know. Getting in was a pivot. And so I did ROTC.
Yeah. What was that pivot like in regards to, I guess, because you have that, first of all, location-wise, the difference between going to school, East Coast versus West Coast.
Right.
So that's got to be a big thing. And second of all, just that mentality of, having your life almost like entirely predetermined going to West Point versus you making that decision.
Dude, I mean, I was so bummed. And then like my first year at USC, I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I even want to go to West Point. Like I get to be in a fraternity. I get to go to a top 20 university and like meet these amazing people and professors and all these super talented people in Southern California where I could just surf and like hang out in the sun. And actually I was like, dude, I can't even
come from Michigan too.
Dude, I can't even comprehend like going to New York, right? I'd be in the middle of New York, like at West Point. So I mean, God just has crazy plans for you. And dude, the fact that I'm here, like I can't imagine it any other way. But another time I had to pivot. So we come to USC, freshman year's a high. You were still in high school.
I was still in high school.
So senior. And a low that everyone faced, obviously, was COVID. And so I actually stayed in LA during all of COVID.
Really?
Yeah, I was here with like 5 or 6 of my roommates. And it was basically everyone in Greek life that was here, that was staying. And dude, I remember we used to just drink like way too much. It was because no one was doing school.
Yeah. It
was just everyone's like online, just bullshitting their way through classes, not actually learning anything. And we would go to West and just get super drunk in these like apartments.
Yeah.
4 nights a week. And it was the dumbest thing I've ever done. Everyone's like, dude, it was fun the first like week. And then the next like 15 weeks of school or whatever, it was just, I don't know. And so just not having ROTC, like I had this like crazy, gyms were closed too, which I'll get into that later. But like not having ROTC just took away so much structure and like purpose and like what I was doing. And then like I didn't have church. I go to the Crisis Center every week. And so not having a church to go to and like reflect and kind of internalize a lot of like the problems I've had this week. I didn't have that. That was a bummer. Gyms were closed. I had to go to like Gold's Gym outside. I'm going to DTLA, Gold's Gym. And it was, all the equipment was outside and it was just shitty and always crowded. Dude, so there was just a lot of my identity is being taken away. I think similar to what you talked about maybe during your COVID experience. And dude, that was just like a rough time. Like I think just no one and I kind of figured out. And sophomore year of college, like you're just super involved in like, I don't know, fraternity life. And I was putting all my identity in that and it wasn't fulfilling or satisfying. So that was a weird point in my life. And so I think I really came back to myself. I was also going through a really hard relationship at the time, extremely toxic relationship.
That happened.
I don't really want to get into as much, but I don't know. Like summer wasn't great either. Just it was still weird. But coming to junior year, I don't know. I really started. I broke out of that really toxic relationship and kind of just really. I read green lights. I went to boot camp where I met some of the smartest people I've ever met in Fort Knox, Kentucky, who are soldiers, which is insane. People come from nothing, but they're so intelligent and just didn't have like the same opportunities we're blessed with. So I learned more than I did in boot camp than 4 years in college. Really started journaling. I know you journal a lot too. And so dude, everyone thinks they're going to remember stuff or they have it all together. And then you start journaling and having this internal dialogue of yourself. And I don't know.
Changes. Because like the thoughts in your head, they go like in one ear out the other, you're constantly in stimulation throughout the day. So just like you could have a thought and not expand upon it. When you start writing, you let your hand just kind of go. You really see how much emotion you had tied to that singular thought. It could be as small as like an interaction, like something super small, like you say hi to someone that you haven't seen in a while, and it kind of you get back to like what that relationship used to be, the experiences you used to have, and it just kind of rabbit holes itself a little bit. But it just, like you said, like people may think like, oh, I'm gonna remember this, or oh, this is meaningful to me, but like you don't truly know how much it means to you until it's like on something tangible that you can feel with your hands and see with your eyes.
Absolutely. And whenever you're out of tune or off frequency or so lost in the music, you don't know where you are, you can look back at the journal and go to a time where you were like in a good mindset or headspace. And that's why it's so important not to write when you're just low. I think like everyone gets like caught up in their journal whenever they're really down, had a bad day. It's so important to write when you're high, when you're hitting a ton of green lights, when everything's going good for you. Like that's when you got to really sink in.
I think even outside of just journaling, I think it's just like the little, whether you are religious and you're say praying to God, or whether you're just like mindful of your thoughts, like you shouldn't just be mindful of things and like trying to like just like for example, like if something's happening in your life, you shouldn't just reach out to God because like, hey, this is happening, like I need help. Or it's just like you shouldn't reach out to other people when like you solely need something. Just be appreciative. Reach out to anyone, like share the good thing that's going on in your life.
Absolutely.
Share the blessings, acknowledge them. And like I like solely believe this, and I've been like riding with this so hard this year so far. Like I'm like one of the most like appreciative people. Like I will say thank you 100 times to someone, like to the point where they get annoyed. Because it's just like if I'm just putting myself out there and just like, hey, like thank you, it's just like kind of that reassurance that like no matter what, like if that's the only good they have in that day is that someone's appreciative of them, then like
right,
because you really never know what someone's going through until something comes out.
Absolutely not. I think you realize that the like more you mature, everyone has like an internal dialogue with themselves, and they could be having the worst day ever. You have no idea. So just being kind, calm, and patient to everyone.
Yeah. So
important.
Yeah.
I think what you just said like brings back to a quote, like I need God on my best days just as much as my worst days.
So, I mean, it's the best quote. It just shows that like the highs and lows in life, like it's not like you shouldn't only be acknowledging yourself and your mental state in the lows when you're just like, man, I'm at my worst. Like even when you're at your highs, even when things are going like really well, just like take a deep breath and internally like acknowledge like how you're feeling, the fact that you worked to get to that point, be appreciative of it, because then you become like even more embraced in it. Like if you're in like a low point in your life and you're like, okay, here's where I'm at right now, let me take a deep breath and be like, okay, like what do I need to do to get myself out of here? Say you're at a high point and you take a deep breath and you're like, wow, like this is something that I worked my ass off for. It's going to be even like sweeter.
Absolutely.
It's going to be so much more enjoyable in my opinion.
Dude, completely.
I want to backtrack a little bit because since we're talking about pivoting and life transitions, what was that transition like mentally going from everything you had been experiencing sophomore year with COVID and then leading into boot camp? Yeah. Especially like that kind of mental switch, because it's very different between like being in South Central here and completely being boot camp.
It was just, dude, I mean, I've gone to the field before at ROTC. Like we'll go for like 2 or 3 days to the middle of Fort Irwin, where like you sleep on the dirt. You might sleep for 2-3 hours a night. You're getting fed MREs, which is like astronaut food. And you're just constantly put under stress for like 2 or 3 days, which is, that's fine. But do that for 35.
Yeah.
And then you're in a platoon with 45 other kids from across the country who have different perspective, worldview, ideology than you. And you have to be able to manage that when they're sleep deprived and hungry 24/7. And you're being evaluated through all this. So dude, just going through that. And it really made me appreciate the luxuries, just the basic shit. The fact that I get a nice bed, like coming back, having my first beer and cheeseburger with my mom was like, dude, this is like heaven. And I don't know, it just makes you put everything into perspective more, taking away like stuff like that and then coming back into it. So that was pretty cool. That definitely opened my eyes. I also met the person who introduced me to Green Lights, like McConaughey's book, and got me into journaling.
What was that experience like? If you don't mind me asking.
No, of course. Yeah, he was someone who dealt. You get pretty close people in 35 days, like just going through it with everyone. So he's really open about his like hard times, battling depression and identity crisis, and he was like showing me his journal and how he would organize his thoughts, and I was like, wow, this is pretty badass. Like I think I could get into this. I never really saw myself as a person that would do it, but I don't know, I thought I was good at poetry one time, so I was like,
why not write down a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean after that I really started reading and got inspired by like entrepreneurship a lot, and it's something me and my roommate Steven are actively trying to pursue. So that came from journaling, that came from reading, that came from like self-help books and motivational books, and I don't know, it just that really has started to change my like perspective on a lot of things just from picking up a book and writing stuff down. So
I think it was really one that you just said, but when you talked about him opening up and sharing his hardships and being like very vulnerable. Yeah. You're like, that's badass.
Completely.
Like, and I think that's something that like a lot of people I think, shy away from, because especially in regards to social media or maybe just like general presence in college, people are afraid to acknowledge the fact that like they don't have it all figured out. I think like, you scroll on LinkedIn, everyone's got their internships lined up. You scroll on Instagram, everyone's going to the beach. And it's just like the people that like, if you step outside and take a look around, you realize that like everyone's human beings. Like dude, nobody is different from you or I.
No one has it figured out.
No one.
Truly. Everyone puts on this front.
Yeah.
If everyone, like the coolest person you know in your head is deep down he struggles with something.
Yeah.
Whether it's insecurity about whatever it is, there's something about him that he doesn't have figured out yet. And you just can't put people on a pedestal like that. And it's not fair for them and it's not fair for you.
Yeah. Huge. I mean, right there. It's just like, if you're comparing yourself to someone else and you're always looking at them and like this huge, like, oh my God, this person's perfect. They have it all figured out. They have this relationship. They have that like shoe or clothing, whatever it may be. But it's just like, if you're constantly comparing yourself to someone else who like you don't even know their full story,
absolutely,
you're just gonna be in this constant loop of okay, I need more, and like you're never gonna be able to be present with what you have.
Dude, huge word, present. Also, most of the time when the person you like idolize the most doesn't have it, is the person that's most insecure or doesn't have shit figured out at all, like celebrities or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like they battle every day with identity and like self-worth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just crazy that we think people are just have it all figured out, even the happiest person. So give people the benefit of the doubt always with their emotions, feelings. Yeah, of course.
I guess kind of a question now is looking at where you stand right now, and you're kind of nearing another transition, nearing another pivot point.
A scary transition.
That's a little emotional.
A scary transition, dude. Graduating college in 2 months.
Where's your head at now?
Dude, I'm somewhere in between working my ass off every single minute and enjoying the last 2 months of college, which is just, I don't know, it's just so hard to do. Like, part of me wants to I don't know, go out as much as I can. The other part of me is like, I need to like be on LinkedIn 24/7 searching for a job and being in the gym and doing what I love. So I don't know, that's obviously a struggle, but just not knowing where you're going to be in like 2 or 3 months is also really hard. And in high school I had it figured out. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to this school. Like, I'm going to get this roommate. Like, it's all planned for me. I know a lot of people, like, it's really nice when someone has like, oh, I have this consulting job or this investment banking job or this, whatever it is, figured out like a year or two in advance. But I just taken this route where I just want to do my own thing. And I'm not passionate about any of that stuff. And working corporate's not for me. And I don't want to slave away with it. So I'm trying to find my own path. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I've been channeling my ambitions through podcasting. Oh, yeah. I think that's a great way to like create ideation and just get my thoughts down. For me and my roommate are both aspiring entrepreneurs and really enjoy just talking about mindfulness and mindset like you do. Absolutely. So I don't know, it's a hard transition. My mom is scared for me, which is
as a mom, fair. All moms are, my mom's scared anytime I do anything.
So. Right, which is, I mean, that's fair. Like, she's like, how are you paying rent? Like, how are you gonna buy food? And you know what I mean? So I don't know. Well, I've hope. I mean, everything that's happening happens for a reason. I got to remind myself every day about that and that it's going to work itself out. But I'm really just trying to focus on this fitness stuff. That's what I'm most passionate about. What you're doing is so crazy to me. Like, the fact that you're a junior, you're kicking ass in school, and you're just competing at the caliber you are.
I appreciate
get sponsored and dude,
we're working on it. We're working.
Fucking amazing. So I don't know. I really want to build a brand in fitness in order to, I don't know, be different, inspire people. I just want to do what I love doing. That's working out and talking to people.
Yeah. So and I think a huge thing in what you said is like everything working out exactly how it's supposed to. It's the idea that although you are nearing this, once again, transition, this once again uncertain point where it's just like maybe you're not pivoting in the direction that everyone else always goes in, It's just like, okay, you have yourself, you have those that support you, and you have your thoughts. And like everything is, at least the things that you can control are very organized. You know what you're passionate about in fitness. You know what you care about in inspiring other people. Yeah. So it's just like, if you focus on solely the things that you have control over, like your thoughts, like those that you surround yourself with, like that kind of social environment, you're always going to be successful. Like at the end of the day, it'll always figure itself out. And if it hasn't figured itself out yet, that means it's not the end. So just like another learning point.
Absolutely.
So,
dude, great point. Hell
yeah. I mean, that was pretty much everything that I had written down.
Yeah.
If you've got anything that you want to share, all you, my man, or anything you want to ask me, I'm an open book. I'm just
no, dude. I think
shout out that I had.
What's your next step? Where are you going?
Well, I still got some time. So junior, I think I will be headed home this summer, and just really hammering home this whole.
You have a lot of big events coming up.
Yeah, so
I don't know if you can say that.
I'll make
I don't know if you can say that.
If they're listening to the podcast, they're a true supporter. So I got the BPN Marathon April 16th.
Insane.
I've got Summer Shredding Bodybuilding Show
Insane.
July 16th.
Insane.
I've got a powerlifting competition in San Diego September 24th, 2 days before the birthday. Nice. And then big one just got accepted yesterday. New York City Marathon, November 5th.
Yeah, dude, it's
a whole lot of competing.
Training is just everywhere.
Training. But the big thing about this is that it's not only training physically, it's training mentally because it's different disciplines. I'm going to be surrounded by different individuals who specialize in different things, and every single opportunity is an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to grow.
Great.
So
mentality.
I think no matter what it is that you end up doing, post college, no matter what I end up doing during college, post college, it's just that idea that we are constantly surrounded by opportunities to learn and to grow. And I think if we have that, any direction we pivot in will always be a good one.
Amen.
Fuck it. I always do a nice little shout out for just like one person who meant a lot, who supports the podcast. I'm gonna be shouting out Tanner Kleinberg. Tanner Kleinberg's my predecessor, the current president of Teak.
Nice.
One of the most, if not the most optimistic and positive human beings I've ever met. I've never seen that kid without a smile. After every single podcast, maybe within the hour that I upload it, he sends me like his debrief notes. He's always so supportive. So Tanner, here to see you, my man. Appreciate you so much. And you have anyone?
My roommate Steven, who's right here helping us with this podcast.
Steven!
The lights went out a few times.
It's all good. Steven, we appreciate you so much. But yeah, that's going to end up this episode of Perspective Points. I want to thank you all very much so for watching. Tyler, appreciate you so much, my man.
Thanks, Luke.
And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.